Hello, everyone, and welcome to CSOs on the Go. My name is CSO Aishat, and on today's adventure of CSOs on the Go College Edition, we'll be talking to Victor Ayeni. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, so I'm Victor. I went to South Cobb High School. I was in the Magnet program, class 2016. Then after that, I went to Yale University for college, undergraduate. And now I'm a second year medical student at the University of Pennsylvania.
Thank you for sharing that. Your journey seems very high rigored, and you worked hard. So I'm wondering, why did you choose Yale for undergraduate?
The golden question, why did I choose Yale? Well, actually, I didn't really know much about Yale and other Ivy League schools until actually a student from Yale came to South Cobb and like talked about the school, which is part of why I'm happy to do this interview and like kind of paid forward. But yeah, I heard about Yale like that. Just heard about being a really good school, along with like Harvard, other good schools like that. When it came to the end of my decision, it was mainly between Yale and Harvard, and I chose Yale because when I visited there, when I was with the students, it felt like the right place to be in terms of how passionate students were, in terms of how kind and sociable they were. And like it's kind of funny. When I visited Harvard, I was there on like a very sunny and beautiful day, and it was like they had special programming for students like me to make us like Harvard, and I was like, yeah, that's fine. Harvard's okay. Then I went to Yale. It was like raining and like terrible weather, and like I was just like slopping around the campus. But just like the people there were still so bright and so exciting, and like the campus and the class were just so wonderful that I still loved Yale much more. And just it felt right. I knew that in the end, if I didn't choose Yale, I would have regretted it. And of course, Yale has other great things, like great financial aid, great school, great education, like lots of really great students from across the country and across the world. And those are the huge sells for it. But the reason why I picked Yale over other top schools is that, yeah, I just felt most at home there. And I was really happy to go there.
It sounds like Yale is a really good school. Me personally, I haven't been afraid of Ivy Leagues, but I've been like kind of apprehensive because I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, maybe that isn't the place for me. But from what you've just said, it seems like you could really cultivate a family anywhere you go.
I think so. Um, I will say, I mean, Yale is in Connecticut, it's far from Georgia. So it can be difficult to like move on out there. But yeah, I think they're aware of the fact that students come from all over the country and all over the world. So they try to ease that transition as much as possible. And there are other students there from Georgia. And yeah, you can always find a community wherever you are. There's also a really big um, there's actually an African American Cultural Center, for example, that has a lot of like students there who are Nigerian like me, who I could talk to. And there's many different social spheres they set up for you, such that you never really feel alone. So that they definitely prepare you for that adjustment, and it makes it a lot easier to go to a school that's so far from home.
So after you finished at Yale, you went to, correct me if I'm wrong, you went to University of Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I'm there now.
So why did you choose to go there for medical school?
Yeah, so when it came time to apply, I certainly thought about staying at Yale, but I decided that I wanted to I really like the city of New Haven where Yale is located, and that was great. But I decided that other medical schools would better serve my needs. And when it came to medical school, I want a place that had really good clinical care, so like just doctors taking care of patients, really good community service, and then really good research. And when it came to doing all three of those instead of just doing one, like all three, University of Pennsylvania was the best fit for me. Also, like I'm like from Powder Springs. That's a very like suburban area. New Haven is like a small city, and I wanted to kind of have a bigger city when it came to medical school, kind of like increasing in my cityness over time. So University of Pennsylvania is in Philadelphia. It's definitely like a larger city and a very like vibrant, exciting city to be in. Also a place with a lot of like community service needs and a lot of people who are working to meet those needs. So I wanted to learn from people who are doing that kind of community service work in the city. But yeah, basically the university was very well-rounded. The city was great. Financial aid, thank God, was great. And everything kind of came together. And again, the people were great at Penn. That's probably one of the biggest factors. Just that like at Yale, the people are very passionate, very like engaged and friendly and warm. And they're the kind of people that I want to spend my time with, the kind of people that I want to be my friends. So yeah, I was drawn to University of Pennsylvania, and now I'm here and loving it.
It sounds like you really like your school. And I really like my school too. And you also went to South Cobb. How did South Cobb prepare you for the whole college experience?
So that got prepared me very well, I have to say. So I mean, you hear Yale, it's like an Ivy League school, like really big, really threatening, whatever. But no, I was actually better prepared than a lot of my peers who went to like elite, like boarding schools and stuff. Because like when I was at South Cobb, I took a lot of AP classes. That was probably one of the biggest things. Like the classes. So I took a lot of AP tests as well and got fives in them. Yale didn't take my credit for that because Yale prefers people to retake the classes. But because of the AP class preparation that I had, I came in there like knowing a lot more than other students and being like really ready for the kind of college work that I was going to have to do. Um, yeah, I think that like just that kind of rigorous work throughout all of high school really prepared me well for college. And I also have to say that when it comes to the magnet specific classes, like I don't know what classes you have now. I think according to my sister, I think it's changed a lot. But like things like research or things like they teach certain like clinical skills. Um, those things come up a lot, especially in medical school, but even a bit in undergrad as well. And when it came to something like research, for example, I was able to start doing research relatively early on in college because I already had an idea of how it worked in medical school. Sorry, in high school. So yeah, I have to say that like the magnet program is rigorous. Like there's a lot of work involved there because of how many AP classes they put on you and how much work you have to do. But it's like very fulfilling and it's very much great preparation for college.
Thank you for that. Now I know my tears, blood, and sweat are not in vain because we're going through it. Through it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're powering through, we're pushing through. It doesn't matter as long as you move forward. You can take a break sometimes, as long as you move forward in the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was your transition like? Like, aside from academics, what was your freshman experience like?
Experience. Let me think. Well, I guess freshman year, first year, really any school is always just about like adjusting, like you kind of mentioned already. Um, First year at Yale, it's interesting having to move across the country. It wasn't as bad as I could have expected, but like it was like being in a dorm and like outside of Georgia for the first time and like figuring out like where I'm supposed to eat on campus, like figuring out how to even walk around campus, making new friends. Those are probably the biggest things in the transition. I think things that helped were just like small things like finding clubs, for example, like finding things that you're interested in. I was in a Christian fellowship for all of college. I was involved with the Red Cross because I like think it's cool to donate blood. I was in the marching band. That was a really cool community as well. Just like find things that interest you and like work with those, and that helps you get integrated into community. Um, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Like academics, of course, like the reason you go to school, but in terms of like getting through it all, I think just having support systems is really key, and a big support system is like literally just like friends. Yeah.
So Yale is located in New Haven, which is kind of like a suburban type city, like a smaller city. And now you go to UPenn. So how has that city changed your freshman experience from undergraduate to medical school?
Mhm. So when it comes to being in a city, so New Haven again, it's like kind of a smaller to medium-sized city, but I really appreciated that like being in a more urban context and just like having that experience. Because I think especially, I don't know exactly where I'm going to work as a doctor, but I get the feeling it'll be like more in that kind of context. So getting exposed to that was great. Um, and I think it was also really good to differ from the suburban context in that way, where like even the houses are different. Like the suburban house, I don't know how much you like learned about like residential things and like your like history or social science classes. Well, like yeah, like suburbs versus like cities, like they're different makeups, they're different problems. In particular, I think urban settings tend to have more societal issues in terms of like I don't know. I think they tend to be like more crowded, like less taken care of. I think just there's a lot of issues, more impoverished, honestly. A lot of issues that tend to coalesce in urban settings that you don't necessarily see as much in the suburbs. Um, And I think that's even more true in Philadelphia, because Philadelphia is actually, it's called one of the poorest big cities in the country. And that's a big issue that a lot of me and other medical students are concerned about and like trying to work against. And I think what I really appreciate about being in a city like Philadelphia is that not only are there a lot of problems that exist, there are also a lot of people who have come together to work against those problems. And like I was saying earlier, one of my goals is kind of to learn from people doing this kind of community service work so that I can do that same thing when I'm a physician in the future.
That's one thing I really like about people is that they're ready they're ready to like get into action and help push a plan forward, like help push for progress.
Yeah. I maybe think medicine lends itself well to that, because medicine, it's literally about serving other people and like taking care of them. So like, yeah, one thing I really appreciate about being at Penn is that people really do have that drive for community service, like just helping your fellow man. And I'm happy to be in Philadelphia as well, because like city of brotherly love, like people do try to help out one another.
So talking about community service, what do you think is the most important part of the application?
For college,
Yes.
I guess it's hard to pinpoint one important part because it's a multi-factored application for a reason. Um, so you'll hear a lot about like GPA and test scores, and those are important, of course. Like they want to make sure that you are academically ready for college or whatever college you're going to. So it's good to have like strong GPA and test scores, but it's definitely not everything. And you hear a lot about people who have like perfect SAT scores and like solid GPAs who don't get into any good colleges because that's all they have. So you definitely need more than that. So the personal statement is definitely very, very important, because when colleges accept you, they're not accepting just like a number, or like they're accepting a person, and they want to know, is this person somebody who would enjoy our college community and would contribute to it as well. So people are paying a lot of attention to your personal statements. So be very intentional about writing that. Very careful with it. Extracurriculars for sure are also very important. Do things that you care about in high school and in college, really all of your life. Like people, I've noticed and throughout all my applications, all things I've done in life, that people really appreciate sincerity. So like if you are doing something just to look impressive, people will be able to notice and it won't work out for you. But if you do things because you care for them, because you have drive for them, you will be happier, and people will like note your joy over your work, and they'll love it, and they'll want to keep, I guess, they'll want to talk to you more about that. They'll want to like be around you because they see the joy in you and they want to like be a part of that. So the things that you care about, be a leader in them, not to look impressive, but to like, because you care and because you want things to grow. And I think colleges really appreciate that as well. And then recommendations, of course, are really important, because yeah, colleges really want to know who you are and what kind of person you are. And recommend your personal statement is a big part of that, but also recommendations from people who can say like, this is Aisha. She's like a stellar student, like a great human being. Like any college would love to have her. Like those kinds of things are really helpful for the application as well. So yeah, it's a very well-rounded, holistic process when it's done properly. I think Yale does a really good job of that, of looking at the whole person, not just one particular aspect. And yeah, I think if you want to be successful in applying to colleges, again, grades and test scores are important, but like your personal statement is really important. Extracurriculars and leadership are important. Recommendations are important. Yeah, just like if there are interviews, make sure you show yourself in your interviews as well. But yeah, make sure that you present yourself in the fullness of who you are. So that colleges can really say like, this is so and so, like they are this kind of person. We think that they'll be great for our community.
So going based off of everything you just said, a sincere and dedicated person would most likely thrive at Yale or at most colleges.
I think so. Yeah, because again, I came to Yale because I saw that people there were like kind and like passionate and genuine. And I think that's something you want of anybody, I imagine. Like who wants a friend who's like mean or like insincere? Like nobody wants that. So yeah, I think sincereness, dedication, passion are all like things that people really value, and that will get you very far in life in general, because we all have things that we care about, I like to think. And I think we all respect it when people care about something enough to like work towards it and like make progress. And I really encourage that, not just college applications, but like in life in general. If you care about something, like work towards it and do something meaningful.
So when talking about passion and dedication, how did you manage your extracurriculars and prior responsibilities while applying for colleges and scholarships, and while you were in college after you'd already gotten in? How did you manage your classes, the new environment, and extracurriculars?
I think it's just a matter of like balance and wisdom in that regard. And it's something that you have to work on throughout life. Like, I think that when it comes to balancing all those things, like you mentioned, I started doing that a lot in high school, but I still worked on it in college. So working on it in medical school, there are full-on doctors now who are still working on that. Like, it's a very lifelong issue of how to balance everything. But I'd say that one important thing I've learned is that it's better to do a few things very well than to try to do a lot of things poorly, especially regarding extracurriculars. So like, for example, it's better to be like a dedicated leader in like 3 different groups than to like try to be a member of 10 different groups who doesn't really contribute that much. In part because I think the work that we do for extracurriculars, for example, it takes up more time. It'll take up more time than we ever anticipate. So you have to kind of leave yourself some wiggle room and probably do less than you think you're capable of, so that when those things start to get more time, you're ready to do that and you can invest more. If you have the bandwidth to do more things, like I guess do more things, but be careful and make sure that you really have that bandwidth before you proceed and like take on new stuff. Yeah, what else would I say? I think in terms of balancing everything, it can be hard, especially your senior year when you're like applying to schools and writing essays all the time for schools and scholarships. Teamwork is important. I think if you can find other people who are less busy at a given time, like if they can help out in some way, please do that. And teamwork in general is like a big life skill you'll use a lot. I know it comes up a lot in medicine, and I'm sure it'll come up a lot in any field. What else is there? Yeah, again, it's a really tough balance. I think it's like be realistic with yourself, because you don't want to let people down. You don't want to overpromise on anything. And again, like if you have a gift or ability, please use it. Like go out and be passionate and all that. But make sure you're being honest with yourself about what you can handle, about what you're doing. And make sure you're not being prideful, I guess. Like make sure that you're being humble about your skills, like being honest about how great you are and how much stuff you can do, but also about how you're a limited human being who can only do so much. And then again, that balance takes a long time to figure out throughout life, but it does get better. And one of the cool things about college is that like there's so much going on in college, you kind of have to learn that, like how to balance yourself. And it's almost like it's good training, I think, for this kind of college gives you good training for that kind of balance. Med school gives good training, and by the time you're an adult, like doing like real work, hopefully you have more balance in terms of like all different things in life.
I would agree, because as I'm a high schooler, as you already know, because we talked about that. But last year, even though it was, well, we're still in a pandemic, but even though we were in the thick of it, we're still in the thick of it, but it is what it is. Like I got burnt out and I could not do a lot of the things I promised to do. And as a person who broke her promises, it not, it didn't look good, but it also felt really bad.
Yeah.
But to help me balance my life and academics and all of that, I had staff and teachers and mentors that cared about me, like Miss Jones. So how would you describe the faculty, staff, and administration at Yale?
That's a really good question. Wow. And first off, I would say I'm really happy you like found like supporters, that you found more balance, and like hold on to that story, because you're gonna burn out again. Like actually in like medicine, burnout's like a very scary and very real thing. But like life gets hard, a lot of things come up on you at once, and you have to give yourself grace, because like we're all human, we all like make mistakes, but also like, yeah, I hope that we can continue to find good support networks that can support us in those times, because those times will come. We can overcome them with enough like patience, faith, and support. But to your question about my support networks at Yale, one thing I love about Yale is that like they throw many mentors at you like the first day you come in. Like I had like 2 faculty advisors like literally the first day I got to Yale. I had multiple like student like peer mentors like who were upperclassmen who could teach me about stuff. And extracurriculars that I'm in, they're always like older students who are doing the same club, so they can like teach me about how Yale works and about how classes go, like what should I take, what should I not take. Because I'm always surrounded by people who are willing to invest in me. I think it's really important to look for in a college, like, are there people who are going to sow into you? Because if not, that can be kind of dangerous. You need, like you said, you need people like Miss Jones for you who are willing to like invest in you and help you out. And if you can't find that, that's kind of concerning. Um, yeah, at least Yale definitely had that. I was looking for that and I found it, and I thank God for that. And in medical school, same thing. I'm surrounded by mentors. And I know if I have a question, I always have people I can talk to. If I'm feeling tired or exhausted, I have friends and mentors I can talk to as well. And generally, I feel well supported.
Well, thank you for coming to talk to us today. And this is my last question. What is one piece, if you could give one piece of advice to any incoming freshmen or people looking at college right now, what would it be?
Yeah, Frank. Good question. Well, if you're applying to schools, I'd say keep an open mind. Like Yale was not a school I really knew that much about when I first applied. Like I didn't even know it was in Connecticut till like after I got in. So like keep it open, but I loved it there, and it was like I thank God so much that I ended up there and that I got to go to school there. Um, so I think keep open mind about schools, and the Ivy League in particular. I think people get really scared about it because like, oh my gosh, like it's so like rigorous, it's so crazy, and yeah, it's like it is a top school and it's a great place to be, and I feel like they want, like they sent the recruiters to South Cobb for a reason. They want students like the ones who are at South Cobb. They want you to go there, and they'll help you as much as possible to be able to go there. One thing in particular that I want to say is that when it comes to financial aid, Yale's like, if you look at the price of Yale and other top schools online, you'll see like crazy, crazy expensive like tuition and stuff. But the thing I love about Yale is that they want anybody who can like handle going to Yale, they want to be able to come. They do not want money to be the issue. So they'll give you as much money as you need to be able to attend. They have really good need-based financial aid. Actually, if your family makes below, I think, $65,000 or $70,000 a year, you get a full ride to Yale, like automatically just by getting in. If you make below 125,000, something like that, you get full tuition automatically just by getting in. And obviously, even if you make above those numbers, you might still get a lot of money. Like I got like more than full tuition, despite having I think more money than the 125 cutoff for my whole family. So that's the thing. Like they want to set you up just for success. They want you to come in. So keep it up in mind. Like take a shot. Apply to some of these top level schools. You never know if you'll get in, and you might end up loving it like I did. For incoming freshmen, I just say, what would I say for them? Enjoy, honestly. Like college can be hard. It will be hard. It'll be a lot of new adjustments, but like I hope you find really great friends who you can talk to. I hope you find great mentors, a lot of great experiences, that you learn a lot of cool things inside and outside of class, and then you discover your passion, because I think college is a great place for you to explore new things that you never would have seen before. Yeah, and it's a great time for you to explore new things, and I hope you make the most of that, and that when you finish your for however many years of college, that like you are able to walk out saying you did some cool new stuff, that you made some great new friends, and that you're excited about the next stage of life.
So you heard it here, folks, from Victor Ayeni, and also from everyone in this Zoom room. I'm pretty sure we all agree. Don't be afraid to take a risk, even though it's a shot in the dark, because sometimes you may throw that pebble into the water and you see the ripples, but you don't know where they go, but they could be going somewhere good. So don't be afraid. And you have a lot of people that want the best for you. Thank you for talking to us, Victor.
Of course.
And thank you everyone for coming and listening to our journey. So this is the end of our journey. Thank you for listening to CSOs on the Go, where we're keeping you more in the know. See you next time.